Imagine for a moment that the trusted headlines you read each morning, the stories shaping your worldview, were not born from diligent reporting, but from a shadowy orchestration by the world's most powerful intelligence agency. What if the line between journalism and espionage had long ago dissolved? This is not the premise of a thriller novel. It is the documented reality of Operation Mockingbird, a covert CIA program that infiltrated American media during the Cold War, and as we shall explore, casts a shadow that persists to this day. Welcome to the Stateless Standard, where we explore truths that donkeys and elephants would prefer you ignore. Launched in the 1950s, Mockingbird recruited hundreds of journalists, planted fabricated stories, and molded public opinion to serve geopolitical ends. Declassified files, whistleblower testimonies, and congressional probes have peeled back the layers of this deception. Yet its evolution into modern digital manipulation raises profound questions about the information we consume. Over the next 7 minutes, we'll take a journey through Operation Mockingbird, its origins, the explosive revelations in the 1970s, and its subtle resurgence in our algorithm-driven age. And we will arm you with tools to discern propaganda from fact. By the end, you will view the news not as gospel, but as a battlefield where truth must be vigilantly defended. Let us begin. To understand Operation Mockingbird, we must first confront the paranoia of the early Cold War era. The year was 1950. The Soviet Union loomed as an existential threat, and American leaders feared that communist ideology could infiltrate not just governments, but minds. Enter the Central Intelligence Agency, newly empowered by the National Security Act of 1947, and its director, Allen Dulles, a patrician lawyer turned spymaster whose vision extended far beyond traditional espionage. Historical records, including declassified CIA memos from the Eisenhower Library, reveal that Dulles viewed the media as the ultimate weapon in the battle for hearts and minds. Why conquer territory when you could conquer narratives? Thus, Mockingbird was born, a clandestine initiative to embed agency assets within the press. Taxpayer funds, funneled through front organizations like the Congress for Cultural Freedom, bankrolled the recruitment of over 400 journalists from elite outlets. Consider the scope. The New York Times, CBS News, Newsweek, Time magazine. These were not peripheral players. They were the arbiters of truth. CIA operatives posed as stringers or editors, slipping agency-drafted articles into print. One infamous example, a 1961 piece in the New York Times justifying the Bay of Pigs invasion, later exposed as CIA scripted propaganda. Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Joseph Alsop, a household name, admitted in private correspondence, now public via Freedom of Information Act releases, to receiving classified briefings and compensation from the agency. This was no ad hoc scheme. Presidents Eisenhower and Kennedy received briefings on Mockingbird's progress, tacitly endorsing its expansion. By the mid-1960s, as former CIA officer Philip Agee detailed in his 1975 memoir Inside the Company, assets operated in over 50 newsrooms worldwide. Fabricated reports fueled interventions in Guatemala, Chile, and Vietnam, turning journalism into a tool of empire. The human cost? Countless lives lost under false pretenses, all sanitized by headlines that echoed Langley's script. The unraveling began in 1975, amid the post-Watergate reckoning. Senator Frank Church, a principled Idaho Democrat, chaired a special Senate Select Committee to probe intelligence overreach. What they unearthed was staggering. Mockingbird's fingerprints on domestic and foreign media alike. Testimonies from ex-CIA directors, including William Colby, confirmed the program's scale. Carl Bernstein's seminal 1977 Rolling Stone expose named names. Figures like Arthur Hayes Sulzberger of the New York Times and CBS's William Paley, implicating a web of complicity. Church's hearings painted a vivid portrait of abuse. Declassified transcripts describe how the CIA bribed foreign correspondents, ghostwrote editorials, and even influenced Hollywood screenplays to glorify American exceptionalism. One memo, released in 1976, outlined Project Q Hilltop, a Mockingbird offshoot experimenting with psychological operations via news broadcasts. The committee's final report warned the intelligence community has invaded the globe of ideas. Yet herein lies the irony and the cover-up. Publicly, Mockingbird was framed as a defunct Cold War artifact, shuttered by executive order. In truth, as Church himself lamented in a 1976 interview with the New York Times, his panel glimpsed only the tip of the iceberg. Over 200 pages of the report remain redacted, shielding media ties. Key witnesses, such as CBS President Richard Salant, were sidelined. A leaked FBI memo from that year hints at a pivot. Rather than direct embeds, the CIA would cultivate third-party validators, academics, think tank experts, and ex-officials, to launder intelligence through ostensibly neutral channels. By the 1980s, this evolution was evident. CNN hired former CIA Director William Colby as a commentator. A 1982 agency directive declassified in 2007 formalized public affairs guidance for indirect influence. The Church Committee, far from dismantling Mockingbird, inadvertently taught its architects to burrow deeper, evading scrutiny while preserving control. If Mockingbird's origins were analog, its legacy is profoundly digital, refined, pervasive, and borderless. Fast forward to 2014. CNN's Amber Lyon, an Emmy-winning correspondent, resigned after executives quashed her reporting on Bahrain's regime, following U.S. State Department pressure. This was no isolated incident. It mirrored Mockingbird's playbook of editorial censorship. WikiLeaks' 2017 Vault 7 dump exposed CIA cyber tools capable of retroactively altering online articles, erasing evidence mid-publication. The 2022 Twitter files, curated by journalists Matt Taibbi and Bari Weiss, revealed FBI flagging of misinformation that later proved accurate, including the Hunter Biden laptop story, suppressed pre-2020 election. Echoes of 2003 abound when the New York Times amplified false WMD claims to pave the way for Iraq. Today, the arsenal includes algorithmic gatekeeping and fact-checkers with intelligence ties. A 2021 Stanford study found that 80% of debunked viral stories traced to three groups: the Atlantic Council, Bellingcat, and NewsGuard, all funded by or staffed from U.S. government-linked entities. Former CIA officer Robert David Steele observed that modern assets omit strategically, crafting narratives of absence rather than fabrication. The perils for truth-tellers remain stark. Gary Webb, whose 1996 San Jose Mercury News series linked the CIA to the crack epidemic, faced smears and suicided in 2004 with 2 self-inflicted wounds. Michael Hastings, who exposed military corruption in Rolling Stone, perished in a 2013 car crash deemed suspicious by associates. These cases, corroborated by journalistic archives, serve as stark deterrents. Armed with history, how do we navigate today's deluge? Here are 5 empirically grounded indicators, drawn from declassified tactics and academic analyses, that a story may bear Mockingbird's imprint. First, over-reliance on anonymous sources. CIA manuals per 1970s leaks prized unattributable leaks for their deniability. Demand names, verifiability is journalism's cornerstone. Second, suspicious timing. Narratives spiking before elections or conflicts vilifying adversaries like Russia's Putin in 2022 coverage often align with policy pivots, as a 2019 analysis of media cycles confirmed. Third, dubious fact-checkers. Entities like the Atlantic Council, per OpenSecrets.org disclosures, receive CIA-adjacent funding. Scrutinize their methodologies. Independence is illusory. Fourth, echoed phrasing across outlets. Identical headlines, as in the 2020 COVID origins debate, signal centralized briefings, a phenomenon dubbed manufacturing consent by Noam Chomsky in his 1988 treatise. Fifth, the limited hangout. Partial disclosures, like Epstein's 2019 coverage fixating on his demise while eliding his elite network. Detailed in court filings. Pacify without illuminating. Probe deeper. A 2023 MIT report further notes YouTube's algorithms demoting terms like CIA false flags, throttling inconvenient inquiries. Operation Mockingbird endures not as relic, but as blueprint, a testament to unchecked power's quest to script reality. From Dulles' newsrooms to digital fact-checkers, the thread is control over what we think about, if not always what we think. As NSA whistleblower William Binney cautioned, doubt is the manipulator's ally, discernment our shield. Yet hope flickers. Independent platforms like Substack and encrypted whistleblower tools empower unfiltered voices. Cross-verify with diverse sources, trace funding, and question motives. Who profits from this tale? In reclaiming skepticism, we honor the journalists who paid dearly for light in the dark. If this expose sharpened your lens, subscribe for more dissections of hidden histories. Share your thoughts below. Have you spotted these red flags? Until next time, seek truth relentlessly and stay free.